We are finally on the brink. One team will move on while the other will go home and have their dreams of worlds dashed between Machi Esports and Taipei J-Team. By all metrics, J-Team has already surpassed all of their previous expectations in the PCS era, but can they finally overcome is now the question. First off, a big thank you to our sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber. Game 5 is on our hands, and we have Machi going to the red side, perhaps for one last time. What do you expect to see out of this draft here?
One final dance among these two teams. I expect to see a little bit more team fight power, at least from the jungle position, coming in from Gemini. Not sure if it's going to be the Diana per se, but I do expect to see these teams feeling the pressure to fall back to more scaling, because again, if things go wrong in the early game, you definitely get in your head quite a bit in these game 5 scenarios.
LeBlanc has just been absolute poison for both teams, which is very surprising. She's picked 4 out of the 3 times, actually all 4 games there was a LeBlanc being picked here, and she's already lost 3 of them. So not really sure about this LeBlanc pick, and neither team has, let's be perfectly honest, been clean enough to hold on to early game leads. So 100% agree with you. Most likely going to go into late game. Most likely we have to see a de-evolution back to those power picks. We're talking about Ziggs, we're talking about Camille, we're talking about Gwen. Stuff like that should be more high priority. And I really don't want to see people default Lee Sin LeBlanc. Please do not do that.
It's definitely not a bad combo. It's just that these teams haven't been able to execute around that combo. We saw a bit of a flash of it from Machi, but unable to carry that lead forward. And this time around, J-Team, they go for actual bans, not going for the Lee Sin and Aphelios ban on blue side this time around. And Machi will be the ones to ban away the Aphelios. So saying, hey, the Varus answer wasn't great, and our team fight, or lack thereof, didn't help out in that endeavor against the Aphelios. The J-Team, they are hovering the Xin pick. It's probably the main priority coming into this last draft phase.
I can't believe it took 5 games to get to this phase, but we're finally here. This looks like a much more normal draft than what we have previously. Lee Sin was taken over Xin Zhao multiple times, and I think we're going back to the norm with Xin being the forerunner here. Lee Sin going to be locked in. I know in other regions Lee Sin is more high priority, but that is the fact, because a lot of mid laners and top laners actually still play the Lee Sin in flex position. Neither of these teams do that, so I really don't want to see Lee Sin as high as he has been going. Machi going to go with the Varus, very strong engage, Dragon teamfight team. J-Team going to answer likely with the Ashe here, so a bit of reversal of positions, and I feel very ambivalent about this pick.
Mission's like, okay. He was really smiling there. I thought he was trying to pull a prank on us, but nope. Apparently, that is the prank. Locking it in. He's going to try his hand on it one more time. Has been 1-2 in this series on that pick. And while Silas is G-Mian's bread and butter answer to the LeBlanc, does make them a little bit more skirmish heavy rather than team fight. At the very least, he can buy a lot of time with that Crescent Guard or look for picks with that Ashe Arrow.
True.
It's just a matter of, well, what are the other ultimates coming in from J-Team that would help supplement this Silas pick?
Machi definitely setting up for a good 1-3-1 like you mentioned, and Silas at least has scaling. Machi going to take away Rel, which has been a huge headache providing that front line from Woody. Very difficult to take her down and try to go through the stuns if you're playing assassins here. J-Team going to take away the Jace, and Machi in return taking away the Gwen, which is what we saw in game 4 as well. So really much looking at a support here to supplement 131. Thresh is still left on the table.
Will be a Camille man instead. J-Team concerned about the possible Camille last pick to whatever they want to go here. Braum looking to be the hover will get locked in, and now you're looking at pairings for this Ashe here. The Rakan is okay because it is A, into a Braum, and B, it has the Ashe to really stabilize its lane phase. But we saw the first game of Rakan didn't really go well for Woody. He kind of face planted quite often in a lot of these fights. At the very least, there's not a ton of burst damage necessarily from Machi. But the range from Varus is going to be a bit troublesome for him to deal with.
Looks like Rest is going to try his hand again on a blindside power pick in the gangplank. Very difficult to find a counter here, and I don't think Machi wants to go for Lucian again. It's a great lane counter, but in terms of the composition, it really leaves you kind of forces you into a knife fight. Now, Aurelia is potentially a strong pick here. We haven't really seen it that much from the side of Likai. Also considering the Gnar, which we're not exactly enthusiastic about for the most part. But it does get locked in.
I would have almost said just throw the Sylas up top lane so you can just steal the GP ultimate and find another counter pick in that mid lane. But it will be the Gnar locked in for Likai. This is definitely much more of a rest champion than a Likai champ, but still plays in the same vein. Wants to play more for lane and then come in with the early rotations to try and make plays for his squad. It's more of a flank style champion, so if he's able to hit those Gnar or Mega Gnar timings, it still plays like a Likai champion.
For sure here, we do have like Immobile carrying the back line, so maybe he can target that Ashe a little bit easier. Looking over these two compositions, it's hard to give out a definitive win con on both sides. I feel like maybe a little bit more 1-3-1 for Machi, but for J-Team, it's kind of catch, but with also they have scaling from Gangplank. It's a bit
of a mishmash. It's definitely a bit of a mishmash here. Just because Ashe isn't going to necessarily pump out the most damage. A lot of facilitating power through her. The Rakan doesn't exactly bring anything except engage power. The Xin isn't super high damage. And it's going to come down to how far ahead does LeBlanc get with this Xin pick to then snowball and threaten these champions as they get into the late game. Otherwise, it's just all on the back of Rest. And the Gangplank, while can carry, it's not the same vein as something like a Gwen where she just steamrolls a fight very easily.
Yeah, to me, in terms of like the late game, it's really all down to Jimian and Rest dealing out most of the damage. Again, J-Team are going to try for a early invade, as we have seen them do, I believe, in Game 3 before here. And taking a look at the runes, pretty standard across the board. Double grass from both sides, and now Machi with an invade of their own, but it is going to be spotted out here. Rest popping up the Teemos, and Machi, they're just hunting for stragglers here, but J-Team have been long gone.
Hoping that, someone decided to try and cheese a play onto Likai, and they go around the world. Won't be able to find anyone as start of game number 5, tensions mounting. Only one of these teams will have a chance to contend for a world slot, not even guarantee themselves into worlds. It's only for the chance to make it. And the other team, well, they don't have to worry about it, I suppose.
These two teams have alternated their shots at worlds. J-Team going in 2019 alongside with Fofo, and Machi, of course, going with 2020. Very different roster back then. They had Bruce, And they actually did quite well, taking games away from the NA teams. That is my measures of success for for us as a wild card. And Likai having a terrible start to the lane, misses the boomerang completely, and Rest just chunks him out heavily.
Yeah, big whiff on the boomerang means that he just takes infinite amounts of damage. And in this sustained war, GP reigns supreme. As he's going to have access to Corrupting Potion. Likai already chugged his 1 potion, and he also doesn't have access to those biscuits. So Rest is in perfect position to just dominate this lane from minute 1. And now this is a counter pick Gnar that is put on the back foot. Unsurprisingly, Machi, while they have sometimes saved counter picks for Likai, sometimes the counter pick doesn't feel like a counter pick.
Yeah, I would say Likai is someone that is very proficient on a few champions, but I don't think his mastery spreads throughout his entire champion pool. So we'll see how he does here. The main thing is still going on coordinated dives on this Gnar into the back line, and that's mainly a team fight issue, so we'll see how it works out there. Koala gonna miss the Winter's Bite early on, and this lane, I have seen some Ashes being able to use that extra 25 attack range to really overpower the Varus, but for the most part, Varus does get the shove, and this is what we see from Atlan. Also, Gemini is pathing down towards this bottom side, so J-Team playing pretty safe here as the junglers split scuttle.
Yeah, and it looks like the side of Machi making sure this bot side is comfortable. That's been their main struggle here. Lil V Woody able to kind of take the fight to him. Atlan and Koala have had their moments, i.e. Ziggs, but beyond that, it's been pretty Lil V Woody favored.
Yeah, I would definitely say that has been the case here. And a lot of it's not just from 2v2 trades. Their gank awareness, I feel like, is a bit stronger on the JT side as well. As we do expect quite a slow game here from Machi. Gnar plus Silas is not exactly going to get your blood boiling early. And we have the first gank of the game coming in. Koala could be face checking this. He does spot Hana, so they should be fine.
And these game 5s, it's always a question of which team is bold enough to start that first play. Because so much is riding on that first play as well. If it fails spectacularly, you just put such a mental block on yourself for the rest of the game, knowing that it could have such massive implications.
Yeah, I do feel like J-Team, still with the LeBlanc and the Xin Zhao, are the ones that probably are going to look for more early action compared to Machi. Machi, Gemini, in this composition, he's pretty much there to disengage. He gets some kicks, but for the most part, he's just there to disengage. So I don't expect much to happen from Machi here. This is a very straightforward scaling game, and they have taken away most of the scaling terrors that existed on the J-Team side. No Gwen, no Aphelios, no Ziggs. They're pretty happy to play this one out to the 40 minutes and just rely on execution.
Gemini paying a visit in that
Woody, in the meantime, going to take a little bit of damage, but nothing too consequential. As he will poke into the jungle once again. Don't think he's looking for anything versus Hana. He does have an item lead here, but I'm not chancing it if I'm Lee Sin.
Yeah, it's still a Xin Zhao who has pretty good 1v1 duel potential.
Hey, he got a raptor. Let's go.
And I mean, it's possible we could see a scuffle around this first dragon. That's already spawned. It is a cloud dragon, which means, hey, at the very least, we're not going to get Cloud Soul for our last dragon of this game 5. So, that's a big win.
Impactful. Mountain. Infernal. No clowns allowed. All right, so that's just my rant over it. It's a very slow game, so we do have to find random tangents to go on to.
Hey, that would be the real soul crusher, If you have all this tension and then it ends up being a dragon that no one really cares to contest. So it just continues to drag out because no one's like, well, we don't have to fight for Cloud Soul, so let's just walk off. And then it's just like, well, I guess we're at a 40-minute game for no reason. But now we're going to eventually get forced into some sort of Dragon Soul contestation at least.
All right, let's see. G-Man flies in, gets a little bit onto mission, but I think the pings have saw Geminis for some reason, as both junglers now just waiting for their shot. J-Team not going to find any skill shots, and back goes Hana. So very, very quiet 7 minutes into the game. Small CS and gold lead for Machi, but nothing much, honestly. And I think the big play is going to come down to Herald. We have a lot of catch potential from J-Team. I do favor their comp early game, so let's see if they can make use of it.
Herald just might be that first play, just trying to get that extra gold infusion for their squad. And both junglers chilling out over on this top side. Lee Kai kind of stabilizing after definitely a very rough level 1. Now getting that extra range advantage is going to help considerably. Still, definitely not enough to put Rest in the gutter, as he's going to be perfectly fine scaling up. Is going to be going for the Divine Sunder this time around. So, is that the Divine Sunder? I think it.
Yeah, it is.
Does Triforce also build out of?
It could be Triforce still, but I think Divine Sunder
it's a lot more
definitely
bruisers here, so it should be Divine Sunder.
It should be Divine Sunders, I think. On the other hand, we do have this time Atlan going for a much more aggressive build. You know, we do have the early serrated Dirk able to push in against the Ashe. Ashe can't really dodge out of those piercing arrows.
Yep.
And now in comes Gemini for the first attempt at the Herald. We'll take away Vision first. Lee Kai is at a very good Mega Narbar. And we have the early roam from Koala and Atlan as well. We're finally going to get some action. Mission goes across the wall. Hana shows himself. And that should be Machi being pretty satisfied with just getting all the positioning information and going for this first Herald. J-Team a little bit late to the play. Oh, they landed on G-Man. Chains of Corruption does land onto the back line, and the kick doesn't get the kill. Woody going in, getting 2, knocked up. And then we have the double from Mission, picking both down. What an amazing play from J-Team. It looked like the Chains of Corruption and the kick would be enough disengage, but no, Woody makes them stay in place.
And it really just comes down to such a beautiful ultimate coming in from Rest. You look at this cannon barrage, it absolutely destroys the side of Machi there. They have nowhere to go. They're forced to hard disengage or hard commit to a decision, and their decision is to just abandon ship. And that means for the side of J-Team, they're able to get on the board first. They get 2 kills for themselves. And especially onto Mission, as he hasn't performed on this pick at all this series, but getting 2 kills at the start at 10 minutes, that could change prospects quite a bit.
It definitely could. He's going to have the roam advantage. He's going to have the damage advantage over LeBlanc. And Silas, as of now, still very far behind in the build. A lot of roams should be coming out from Mission, and his TP is almost up. So I want to see him play very aggressively towards, I think, probably the bot lane. And just try to snowball the team more. If he arrives on spot first, there should be no chance of Machi to win any of these fights. We are going to get Machi actually aggroing. Okay, that was probably Hana aggroing the Drake over the wall. Nothing much going to come of that. And here comes the Mission. Like, he is starting to leave his lane a little bit, something we haven't seen this entire series.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot faster for him to just wave clear here this time around. And Machi trying to set up for a pick. But if they do start out Dragon, of course, it's just yet another funnel point for them, for J-Team, to try and corral them and get a pick with the Ashe Rakan combination. And with the damage, as is, Woody should be able to survive to get the initial multi-man quickness.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to dodge away from this, especially on Machi's part on the back line. They're not particularly mobile over there, so they're relying on disengage from Gemini a lot to get them away from Woody. Both junglers actually spot each other, so a very interesting standoff here. The full information standoff. No surprises on either side. It's just about who realizes that they're being peeked on earlier, as it does look like Gemini might be in range for Hana. Not going to go for it. Koala right around the corner, and I think this should be a fight where J-Team can take comfortably. They have the much better buyback coming on the side of Ash, and they do have the Scuttle as well. Just about when they start this up. And Likai, if he wants to contest this, he has to be there in person, while Rest can just leave with the Cannon Barrage.
Yep. And the big thing is the fact that Arrest is, or does have the Cannon Barrage available to him. But neither team really tossing a lot of priority on to this Cloud Dragon. Machi maybe looking to use this extra priority from Rift Herald to make
Here
a play.
comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Does land onto Gemini, but no follow-up just yet. Chains of Corruption lands onto 3. In goes Hana. Cannon Barrage on the entire team, and they take out Silas before Hana even drops. Another kill unanswered back into J-Team. Gemini gets the kick out, but he isn't able to get away for free.
That seemed a little bit selfish there, as he does get Woody, but unfortunately loses his life in exchange. And if you're talking about trade of gold there, it definitely benefits the side of J-Team in that small trade. Even with this Rift Herald tossed down, it's, you know, 2 plates split among, what, 4? Or was it 5 players? It's among 5 players there, and and he just goes in. However, he's Silas. He's not late game Silas where he heals infinite amounts of damage. He's early game Silas. He doesn't have the stats, and in that bot side, Lil V also able to trade out for equal plates in that bottom half, and it was all focused onto him. So the gold distribution much better when it comes to plate allocation, and J-Team are out to a 2,500 gold lead. Machi in a very difficult spot.
This is absolutely monumental because J-Team can come in, they can tap Atlan, and Atlan has to go back. There's not much Atlan can actually do in these fights if Mission just is willing to attack him directly. And Machi just scrambling for more time to scale. The good news for them is they're under no Drake pressure. There really is no need for them to take any fights they don't want to. But Lil V, in the meantime, also farming up quite a storm. He did not participate in the previous team fight. It was a 3v5 where J-Team found a kill and Machi did not. So, at least I'm not on anyone particularly important. So, you know, J-Team just getting away by playing PvE most of the time.
And a 15-minute first dragon means we could be in for the long haul, Clement. And this game's been pretty slow. Only 5 kills in 15 minutes. 1 dragon in 15 minutes. Dragon Soul, if it's taken as fast as possible, is, I mean, at 30 minutes, that's definitely not at a fast pace. So, yeah, buckle your seatbelts, boys, because it's going to be a long ride.
But we've got an exciting fight right on our doorsteps. Machi going to come in from 2 angles. Likai with the perfect Narbar once again. Very dangerous for J-Team to stay around here. The poke is raining down on them, and Likai goes in for the kill, but he finds himself amongst the trees and finds no one with the Mega Gnar. Lil V with the flash out, and in comes the Cannon Barrage. Mission going for the backline. Gemini very low, and Rest flashes in to pick up the kill. Yeah, this is going to be a one-sided affair as J-Team, they dodge out on Likai's attempts, and Machi just fall apart straight after.
It's going to be J-Team getting that team fight win, and what a massive team fight win it was. That's 3 kills going into their hands, and also that second Rift Herald. should be able to help them break down this first tower. Might not finish it off right here. It does look like they will commit. Nice. And for the side of Machi, last
This
pick
was
Gnar?
really forced.
Last pick Gnar? Did they save counter pick for this?
Yeah, I felt like he could have waited for the right side of the team, but he went in himself, and he got nothing. Got absolutely nothing. And J-Team are able to then slam in on the concave afterwards, so it's very reminiscent to that game where Lee Kai was up 5 kills on the Fiora, and he just face checks onto Kino. You remember that game?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Lee Kai does have he's a very young player, so
yes.
We have seen like multiple games where he just kind of int. Let's be absolutely honest. That was one of them.
That was one of them, and it comes at a bit of a crucial moment there, as that was the big ticket ult for them to actually try and teamfight, and if you miss that one, they don't have a whole lot of teamfight ults afterwards. The rest that they have are much more oriented towards generating picks. Now, Lee Kai possibly under fire. Chains don't land.
Even without the chains, he takes Lee Kai down half HP, which is pretty remarkable if you ask me. Machi need a teamfight win pretty soon if they're going to hang on to this, or I feel like they're just going to bleed out. Look at the poke right now from Rest, from Mission. They can't sustain themselves under such withering pressure.
Yep.
So I feel like Machi need to find some sort of a catch of opportunity and ride on that. Like they need that just to come back into the game. Not even to get ahead, but just to come back and stabilize.
Yeah, and look in the inventory of this LeBlanc. Already has the Medjai stacking up 10 stacks onto that Medjai's Soul Stealers. We're going to look at the player gold, and very clearly Rest on top. He has a 2,000 gold advantage over Lee Kai, and it's just not close. He's on the full 2 items. Lee Kai is just sitting on a Divine Sunder. It is going to be the Triforce looking to do maximum damage here. I definitely don't hate this build. Will be a little bit squishier, at least comparatively, but at the very least he also has Steric's Gauge, so given how accelerated he is, I really like this approach.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine for the build here. Right now, J-Team just swinging across the map, taking entire jungle sections, and then putting pressure on the towers, while Machi still farming up for a bit. I feel like it's probably up until Zhonya's before G-Mian really becomes a threat in these fights, and even then, he doesn't have the best of abilities to steal. You mentioned the Cannon Barrage. That's definitely one with a good AP ratio. But otherwise, not a whole lot to actually take away from the ults.
Yep. Yeah, and this was kind of my issue with locking in the Sylas at R3. Is the ults shown weren't that great. You're really just picking it for the lane phase against LeBlanc, and the side of J-Team, they pick other champions that aren't super reliant on their ultimates. Yes, the quickness is great.
Oh, here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, lands onto Gemini, and in comes the damage. Chains of Corruption is going to disengage. J-Team still going to chase. Triple Chain does not land. And here comes the opposing Cannon Barrage, I should say, coming in from potentially G-Mian. Drake is about to start up here. Hana already on the objective, and that's a great find by Mission and by Rest at the same time, trading something for nothing. Cannon Barrage comes in, Lil V will stand within it and still take away the objective. G-Mian is completely spotted on this forward ward, so should be no surprises if he decides to swing back in. The poke is almost inconsequential from Atlan, and he's running out of mana. They have to back out here. J-Team looking for a fight. They're itching to go in onto this. Let's see if they can find a good angle as Meganar about to dissipate. Mininar now, and Rest continues to chase, has a Death Starter. Now Atlan's going to get charmed up. That's both summoners being exposed already. Oh, a crucial auto attack from Koala will stop the chain barrels from going down. That could have been a 4-man chain into just a cleanup from J-Team.
And J-Team, they secure themselves that Mountain Dragon, add that extra little bit of durability, and over on the side of Machi, they are able to hold on to their lives, but that small consolation as they let yet another dragon go. And things are looking very, very rough. At the very least, they did grab that cannon barrage for that fight. However, G-Man uses it to try and go for a very hopeful steal, which means they don't have that cooldown available to actually set up for a fight. That's kind of where things go wrong, and Machi have no other choice but to walk away.
Yeah,
Now,
Machi not with the strongest of engages as well, so you know, holding on to whatever abilities they can get is very crucial for Machi to actually get back into this one. Chains of Corruption from Alan has been on point. We'll give him that. Like he's been able to swing a lot of team fights where I felt like they were on the verge of just being completely destroyed. Now once again, Chanted Crystal Arrow comes down. They will not be able to defend their tower. But this is the formation that J-Team has held. They have a defensive 1-3-1 with a TP and a global on each side. So they're perfectly willing to watch Machi split goal among 5 as they take all 3 lanes.
this time around, Mission. Oh, okay. G-Man has the Ash Arrow, looking for a possible pick here. But Mission being able to sit on the sideline is going to be extremely threatening this time around, given the fact that he is 3-0-4. Now has the Oblivion Orb. Probably looking to complete Morello, as he does also have the Blasting Wand. Would like to see the Void Staff come out sooner rather than later. Just have that extra insurance, and now
These waves are
possible
so bad, and in
collapse.
comes the quickness plus the cannon barrage. Gemini gets a 2-man
Okay.
kick, but will he be able to disengage? Actually does get out. Surprisingly, Mission not going to stay around for the second chains, and that's actually only 1 ultimate used there by J-Team, but very surprising that Machi actually able to get out. However, if you look at the lane states, they're so bad for Machi. Chanted Crystal Arrow, Woody not window shopping. It's going to be okay. All of those side lanes are pushed up into their second tier towers, and Machi have to give up farm to just chance for an engage.
That's exactly right. Now, down 7k gold. What's the next move from Machi? Because they haven't been able to really get control of vision in their jungle to try and pick someone off, invading for really unnecessary vision. But now, you know, they're still stuck in a bad spot. They do have a little bit of scaling coming in from this composition, but Lee Sin is going to be a kick bot later on. Lee Kai has to hit his Mega Gnar timing absolutely perfectly. They also have a lethality Varus, which into so much range coming in from J-Team keeps them a little bit relevant, but it's going to be very difficult because they don't need to necessarily walk up and eat arrows. And Koala, well, he's a Braum. Braum
He's there.
kind of there. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. J-Team should be able to close this one out quite smoothly, in all honesty. But Machi are that team that has made some ridiculous comebacks in the past, just with the kicks. And Gemini usually the one to start that one out. So let's see if Machi can't catch
20 seconds
J-Team
for
errors. J-Team have way too much vision in this sector. It's going to be Machi that has the face check. Now, what you want to do against the LeBlanc as each side just positioning for vision a little bit more. Mission is presumed going to come over the side, and they find him, but with their faces. So not a great surprise for Machi, and they instantly have to back out of the pit. Mission going in once again. He has not died a single time this game. Gemini.
Guy has good Gnar bar and has the
Oh,
teleport.
here he goes. This is not really a back TP. It's more like a slowdown TP. Gemini trying to get the kick onto Mission, but he kicks him out of the Everfrost, and the Drake goes over once again to Hana. Chains of Corruption potentially onto 4, but doesn't really get it, and Likai can't find an entrance. So once again, Machi
flash.
don't really have
Turn.
the damage and the Death Star coming down. Lots of hurt being laid. Hana flying forward. the Mega Gnarled onto 2 as they trade away Woody, but that's okay because Little V is completely free in the backline. So is Rest. They're chasing forward even further. Koala goes down. Hana still going in for more. And that's, again, like you mentioned, 3 for 1. Goodbye. Rest makes it 4 for 1. And could be looking for the 5 for 1, actually. And he does get it. Double kill with the scream. Thumbs down. Ace.
Oh,
let's go.
And J-Team, they come out firing in that fight. It's just no contest for Machi at this point in the game. It's pretty much wrapped up. Kind of a formality here, but now it's up to Machi to see if they can throw a spanner in the works. Try and take very aggressive fights. Maybe foolish, but at this point they just have to keep looking for non-stop skirmish situations. And Likai does get Mega Gnar, but it's just too late. They already secured the objective. And now as they're trying to escape, you just overload them with that cannon barrage. They're all slowed down. They're on the run. It makes this fight so easy. And while it's a decent Mega Gnar, like, their health bars are too low to fully capitalize.
Our hands, potentially? Okay, it's not gonna... Mega Gnar comes in, but lands on no one. Once again, Mission able to get away from dodge. Gemini takes the quickness, but he's trying to escape. He does get away in the end, but Likai not so lucky. Even with the surprise factor, not able to find the engage necessary onto J-Team, and they're just barreling down on the doors. 12,000 gold now. Gemini unspotted, but yeah, he's just cutting the wave. There's nothing you can do here.
Yeah, honestly, J-Team probably not looking for the end, as they should just rotate towards this bot lane tower, take this tier 2, and then look to take a second inhib possibly. Hana a little bit far away, but knows that he's just so far ahead. His carries are so strong that if they commit spells onto him, the Mission just jumps over a wall and probably assassinates a member very easily.
Oh, is tagged by Sonic Wave, but still will be fine. Hana and Rest staying around Mission's side to make sure he doesn't go down. And, whoa, 13,000 gold now, before 30 minutes. I don't think scaling is going to save Machi ever.
Yeah, and into that much range, or that much terrain control from the side of J-Team, it's very hard for the Silas to find purchase in these fights. He has to go in with everyone else here, with this, with the Gnar, with the Lee Sin, and the stars really have to align so damn perfectly for Machi to ever find a team fight win. And Atlan at this point, yes, he has 3 items. It's not going to be enough.
193 AP on Gemini. That's really not enough AP 30 minutes into the game. Mission very close to having all of that just with the Magi's at this point. So, oof, the damage has to be very focused. And oh, Gemini nearly goes down. If the shield wasn't there, he was dead. Koala gets tagged up, and J-Team are moving in on the base. They don't care about the defenders anymore. They want to go to Worlds. They want to meet PSG and Beyond Gaming in the upper bracket. Things are getting real tense here. Machi has been able to hold down JT for so many years, so many different postseasons, but can they do it again? Chains of Corruption goes completely wide, and J-Team once again step up to the plate. Likai still has his ultimate, but Rest is on the BM trial already. He's shaking his sword around, trial by fire. He's taunting Machi. Machi go back in. They put a lot of damage onto him, and Mission could be falling down right here. Jimian, he pops back in with the stolen distort, and Mission stays alive, barely just. Machi now without any HP bars. They have to run away from this one, but Death's Daughter does not let them escape. J-Team crack open the base. They get the kills. They are now on the Nexus.
Mission has teleport very, very shortly. Rest could also go for a recall and teleport straight back here. And it will be J-Team actually falling back because they know they have Ocean Soul on the cards. It has just spawned, and they will be able to obtain it without any contest from the side of Machi. That should basically be it. So hard to imagine how they're able to punch through an Ocean Soul empowered J-Team squad, as it should just be the resets coming in, buying those final items, buying those elixirs if they need to, and just doing the straight march down top side and end the game.
Yeah, it would take a miracle for Machi to really come back here. Frankly, I want to see Rest do the 1v4 routine again. This is something that he's done multiple times in regular season. When he is so far ahead and J-Team look like there's no chance they lose, he just goes into the enemy base on the other side and just like, 1v4 me, bro. So that could be a way to come back into the game. I would like to see it. It's always good to see, and I'm not even sure the Rest loses that at this point. Like, there's actually kind of a good possibility Rest with the most gold in the game can just outduel the majority of Machi, and that is the Rest movement. Taking the guns out, waving them in the air, very threatening pirate moves right there. And we are finding ourselves onto the base. This is Alikai still with TP, but no Meganar, so quite easy for J-Team to just walk up here. Not a lot of threat in it whatsoever. Alikai's coming in completely empty, and Chains of Corruption was just used. Oof.
That's a big whiff. One of their main engages now down. And Gemini.
Oh my god.
He's dead. He's dead.
Goodbye, sweet prince. 2 abilities, no ultimate. In comes the quickness, plus the knockups galore coming in. Gemini still trying to fight his way through mission. They do take him down at the end, but they are separated away from their own base. G-Man has to walk away from his Nexus. Inhibitor wide open, exposed right now. J-Team, they want to make it happen. They have lost Fofo in 2020, but they want to prove that they can still make it back to World. Rest is going to BM his entire way towards the upper bracket as he makes sure Gemini cannot make it back to his own base. They're putting the finishing touches on this cake. They're going in. Koala down. Gemini has to fight off 4 people after the Zanias. He's got double Zanias, but that doesn't change his positioning. He's dead. Machi take this to game 5, but they aren't able to hold J-Team down. Taipei J-Team head on for a final meeting in the losers finals to decide who goes to World. Lil V extremely jubilated that they made it past all these obstacles, all the doubters. I was one of them. To finally take down Machi.
And J-Team, they managed to do it with a bread and a butter composition. And what a series coming out from Rest here as he puts the load on his back. This time around gets a lot more contribution from the rest of his squad. They're able to finish off Machi. Machi in this game 5 tried to bring out the cards, tried to bring out the spicy pick at the very end, but it was just black pepper. Didn't have enough spice loaded into it.
Yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking to see Machi end their season on this note. They went for champions that they were known for throughout their very brief careers, into Silas, into Narn, but it was just a little too slow to make it actually work out. The first Herald fight, you get LeBlanc sling, you get multiple situations where they had to force 5v3 and they couldn't even win 5v3. It was such a huge difference maker. So, you know, you gotta hand it to J-Team, especially to Rest. I feel like he was the pinnacle difference maker in this entire series. You could not keep Rest down. Whatever you did. He had 3 great games on Gwen, and then GP to win the entire series.
Yeah, and it was just experience coming into play there from Rest, having the deeper champion pool, being able to go over to the Gangplank, even blind Gangplank here, and Likai just didn't have enough in his own champion pool to truly punish and provide that extra edge that they did save counter pick for to take his team over the line.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Machi. Great for J-Team, though. We were talking about this. This has been their kryptonite for so many years, and they
Hmm.
finally make it past Machi. It's just crazy to think, like last season when 2020 summer, they were their first seed, and they still lost to Machi 3-0. I didn't have a lot of hope for them this season around. They were 0-2 to Machi in the regular season, but they proved themselves in the end. And they will be facing off against the losers of Beyond Gaming versus PSG later on next week. First, we have to wrap this series up. Take a look at the damage charts. Not very flattering for the top lane here. It's over triple the amount of damage being dealt by Rest compared to Lee Kai.
Yeah, and Machi were never able to find purchase in this game. You saw the damage difference in that top side, the damage difference in this mid lane, but more importantly, this was a composition that needed to scrap a little bit early because of the soul lane dynamic. They weren't able to do so, and the one-sided kill score really showed the story there. 18 kills to 3. It was all J-Team.
Yeah, Machi, they had to scale, but they also did not have a scaling AD carry, and Rest, well-deserved, the BM King himself, bowing down to the crowd and to Gemini at the very end, is going to take the MVP. I think he's the MVP of the series. I honestly think that he has been by far the most consistent player on both teams. 4-0 and 13, another flawless KDA, 94% kill participation with those cannon barrage, and 30% of the team's damage. You cannot ask more from your top laner.
The most consistent player able to show up here. Lil V also deserves a little bit of consideration given the fact that he did play Aphelios very, very well in the lane phase and did run into some Aphelios issues in the mid-late game, but not really due to his own fault. And yeah, it's just those two champions really stepped up when they were needed the most, and especially Rest having that extra experience here over his lane opponent, able to really utilize that to its fullest.
Yeah, and this is, I just think the champion pools were so important that you mentioned right there. The Gwen, the Renekton, early strong picks, power picks, not really being there for Machi was a huge problem for them going forward. And I felt like they actually landed on the wrong foot in game 5. I felt like they should have sticked with the game 4 strategy of just strong early game skirmish rather than switching over to late game 1-3-1, which... against the matchup of J-Team, I don't think really favors them all that much, especially giving over side lane priority. That was the main problem for me into this one. And we will be taking a short break here, and after we return, it will be Ray Rachu coming in with an interview.